Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Masters of the Universe Tuesday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Deluxe Ram Man. Let's get into it! Let's start knocking things down with our head with a look at the packaging. And there at the top, 30 points of articulation and a barcode on the top flap here. Masterverse and that nice cracked, scrolly circuitry background that we've come to expect with this line. 6 and up, nice big window, oversized window because it's a deluxe release, showing off the figure and his accessories. Masters of the Universe New Eternia Ram Man on the bottom. Small print, fine print, legalese print, made in Vietnam print, MattelShop.com print. Contents, 1 figures, accessories. A question mark, symbols I'm not going to learn, recycle stuff, and a barcode. On this side, Ram Man, human battering ram. And on this side, some nice artwork of Rammy. Getting ready to ram stuff, I would guess. And then here on the back, Masters of the Universe New Eternia, original designs inspired by classic concepts. Ram Man, human battering ram, a one-man wrecking crew. The hard-headed warrior known as Ram Man can break down any door, crumble any tower, and even turn a mountain into rubble. For a price, of course. He is untrusting of anyone, but has a reputation as being a man of his word. The battle charger and last of the Stone Skulls searches New Eternia for clues to his long-lost lineage. And again, some nice artwork there. The cross-sale Merman Grizzlord Buzz-Off Faker also available. You sold separately, subject to availability. Colors and decoration may vary. Mattel, empowering the next generation through play. And that, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And here we have handy dandy tweezers. Let's start off with the accessories. And here we have his hand axe, I guess you could call it. It's got some nice molded details. It's got some dings in it with a little bit of dry brush maybe in there. Maybe not. The more I look at it, the more that darkness just appears to be shadows. But there's nicks in the edge of the blade, on the flat of the blade. Nice molded details here and in the handle as well. Reminds me a lot of the original Ram Man's weapons. Now here we have the first of his alternate heads, and I have to say it's got a nice bit of paint detail on it. And I want to say this is from some of the original concept artwork of Ram Man. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's where this particular head is from. But I could be wrong. It does have some nice painted details in there on the face, and then paint here in the headband as well. And again, it's got some rough looking spots on it, like he has been ramming some stuff with it. And you'll notice his comes kind of a conical point there on this head. Here we have the second alternate head, which is the New Eternia head. and it's flat, but then it's got these 4 horns on it. He's wearing goggles, but no face mask, as on the other one he's wearing a face mask. It's got some nice paint apps here around the edge, and I do believe this is all paint apps all around the head, so that's pretty cool. And then here we have his new Eternia armor. And it's got like that demon looking head on it. And then nice paint apps. Here is storage for his axe. And then like spine reinforcement there. And it looks like some kind of piston thing going on here. And some spikes. And just nice paint apps all over this thing. I think it's all painted rather than molded and colored. The sheen on it appears more painted than anything else. So that's very nice. Let's take a look at the figure. And again, I mean, this all looks like paint. All this silver looks like paint rather than having been molded in this silvery color. And that applies pretty much to all the silver on the figure. On his helmet, on his shoulder pads, his bracers, bracelets, whatever you want to call them, wristbands, and his steel-toed boots, and his belt buckle. And it's nice that it seems to all match. And then I think all of this is molded in color, and this piece looks to be just an overlay on this. Oh, the silver on the top of the shoulders here as well is painted. I have to say, overall, I have to say, without all the armor and everything on him, he does strike that very classic Ram Man pose. Got some springs going on back here. Even right down to the legs, except they're not, you know, stuck together, and he doesn't have that spring-loaded mechanism with the little thing on his foot where you go boom. Although they did include that as a throwback. I just now noticed that he has this little spur on the back that's a throwback to the button that used to release the spring-loaded gimmick on him. Now, one thing I will say, this part over the leg is an overlay, which is weird because this part is molded and then it's an overlay, and then the overlay runs into the boot. I would have much rather seen them do just all sculpted on this, even if it limited the articulation, because over time this rubbery piece is going to wear out. And it does limit the articulation just a little bit, and probably about as much as if they had just molded this whole piece as a leg rather than doing this rubbery overlay. Let's take a look at his articulation. He can look up that far, which is surprising. He can look down that far. He's got some chicken neck going on in there, and I think his neck is probably on a dumbbell. But the neck and the chest are one piece. And let's see, he's got a little bit of waggle in there. He can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, the arm probably will go a full 360 degrees, although this piece gets in the way and it becomes a fight. So we'll call it 360 degrees at the shoulder, but I'm not going to be able to show you. Not quite 90 degrees raising up at the shoulder. Cut at the upper bicep for another 360-degree rotation. Double hinged pinless elbow. And it's about that much is about all the bend you'll get out of it. 360-degree rotation at the wrist on an in and out hinge, and in and out hinge on this side as well. Cut here where the chest and the abdomen meet. It gives him all kinds of hula hula motion. He can lean to the left and the right. He can lean back that far, and he can lean forward that far. So that's a good bit. And he will also rotate 360 degrees at this cut as well. There is a cut at the waist that gives you another 360 degree rotation. At the hips, he will give you that much of the splits. He will kick forward that far. With a little bit of outswing, he'll kick back that far. Now the knee on mine was locked up and I had to put it in hot water, and I'm not sure how much of a good thing it did for it. It didn't, I don't think it really loosened it up that much. Either that, or like I said before, this overlay piece really gets in the way of the articulation. But I do believe there's a double hinged pinless knee in there. But again, since we can't see it, I can't really prove that one way or the other without taking this off, and I'm not going to do that. At the top of the boot, 360 degree rotation. At the ankle, down that far, up that far, and forward facing pin for rocker. Now, as far as his new Eternia stuff goes, and here he is in his new Eternia look, and of course the armor is just a strap with a little hook or triangle piece in it, I guess. I don't know what the technical name for that would be, but it just, you just pull it to tighten it up as tight as it'll go, which is the first little triangle. And then, so like I said, the helmet here matches this armor. It does not match this armor. Like this one, the classic head matches the shoulder armor. And then this head is kind of in between. Most of the helmet matches this, and then the highlights of it match this. So this one is like the transitionary head. And I'll go ahead and tell y'all, the dumbbell acts like it wants to split the body apart when you're changing the heads out. So just be real careful and aware of that. Stand up, you. Now earlier I did forget 2 accessories. He does also come with these 2 C-grip hands, and how I forgot to set them up here, setting up for the review, I don't know. But they are also both on in and out hinges, so he does come with an extra set of C-grip hands, and you can change those out. And he can hold the axe, and also on his back, and I think I stated this earlier, he does have storage here on the back of this overlay armor, and it just clips in there. And this piece is a harder plastic than the rest of the armor. And there we have it, my friends. A look at Ram Man and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Ram Man with the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Stratos and his best bud, Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Manny Faces. For our final set of comparisons, here we have the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Ram Man with, from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee. From the G.I. Joe Classified series, we have the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black series, we have the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And our final Masterverse comparison, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Deluxe Ram Man, I have to say, I think this guy comes accessorized enough and decoed enough to be considered a deluxe entry for this line. He is kind of bulky. I don't really see where they're going to be able to reuse much of this mold at all. I can't really see that there's actually a whole lot of reuse on this guy as it is. But he does have very good paint apps. I really appreciate the fact that they used silver paint apps throughout this figure to make all the regular armor pieces match the shoulder, the helmet, the upper arm, the bracers, the belt buckle, the axe. You know, and even the steel toes on his boots, they all match. And I do appreciate that kind of attention to detail rather than some of it being paint and some of it being just silver molded plastic, and then the two don't really match. I do like all three of the head sculpts. I think they all look pretty cool. And the New Eternia armor piece, I think it looks very Masters of the Universe. I'm not necessarily saying it looks very Ram Man to me. Now I may be missing something somewhere, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel very Ram Man to me. And then of course he does have an extra set of hands, C-grips, and fists. So overall, I have to say this is a really good figure. Again, great paint apps. The one ding or minus or whatever you want to call it that I would give to this figure is this rubber overlay on his legs rather than it being fully sculpted detail on his leg. And while he's just standing there, it looks okay, but when you go to posing him out, it can lead to some issues. Plus, over time, I can see it wearing out. And the very top of the legs at the hips are molded, just like the rest of the legs appear. And I do wish they'd have just gone that extra mile on this deluxe release and just went ahead and give it a whole new sculpt for those legs, and that would have been really cool. And of course, I understand, like, you might not have gotten as much knee bend as you would like out of a sculpt like that, but I really think this figure would have benefited from that. And even if they haven't done it, they didn't do it like a regular hinge. If they'd have just done it like a hinge and swivel hinge, I think that would have been fine for this figure, because he's a big guy, he's a bulky guy. You know, he's not going to be very bendy in real life, I guess you could say. But I think a hinge and swivel would have given you just as much articulation on this figure as what it gives you with this rubber overlay on the legs. But again, that's my only real issue with this figure, is those rubber overlays on the legs. Everything else is great, and it's even like I've got him set up here, that just classic Ram Man look. It's just, you know, it really takes me back. The only thing they could have done to make this more Ram Man was to actually give it, you know, the spring-loaded gimmick. And I'm glad that they didn't, because that original Ram Man figure, you know, his arms swiveled a bit, and that was it. That was the only articulation he had due to the gimmick. Now, that does it for the review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view that I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews, or just help the channel out further, or both, that's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.